All right, 30-second warning. Good evening. Welcome to the October meeting. Mayor and City Council of the City of Taneytown will begin with our Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask that Councilman Hale please lead us in that pledge. Councilman?
Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman. Let the records reflect that all members are present and accounted for this evening. We will begin the evening with the approval of the minutes for the August 5th, August 10th, September 9th, and September 14th regular meetings. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Vigliotti, and the second will go to Councilman Haynes. Any discussion on the minutes as they were presented? All right, no discussion. All in favor of approval of the minutes of the August 5th, August 10th, September 9th, and September 14th meetings, signify with your thumbs up. And any opposed? We are unanimous in favor. I'll now ask the council if there is anything on the agenda that presents a conflict of interest for them.
No, sir.
All right, we discussed that. I do want to mention one item not on the agenda for everyone watching. We do need to approve the audit report that was submitted to us Wednesday evening. And so that, in addition to everything else on the agenda, still no conflicts of interest. Everyone's happy? Everyone's happy. With that, we're going to move into our resolutions, ordinances, and agreements. And up for approval this evening is the FY20 financial audit that was given to us Wednesday evening. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Very good. The motion came from Councilman Hale. The second came from Councilmember Fuller. Any discussion on the audit as it was presented? Did anyone come up with any questions, concerns after reading the extensive audit? I assume everyone read it. Am I correct? Everyone read it? You're lovely people. All right, hearing no discussion. Anyone in favor, signify with your thumbs up. And anyone opposed, we are unanimous in favor. With that, we'll move up for adoption. Resolution 2020-11, this is our monthly water allocation for October of 2020. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Very good. I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Foster, a second from Councilman Vigliotti. Any questions, concerns? Everyone satisfied with the water allocation? We are. Very good. All in favor, signify with your thumbs up. Any opposed? We are unanimous in favor. I will throw it to Mr. Weeprecht. Do you have anything, City Manager report following up from Wednesday?
Sure, just two quick things. We talked a little bit about the pending tipping fee for recycling, and just for your information, effective January 1st, 2021, the fee for solid waste is going to be $65 a ton, and there will now be a recycling fee that is in the beginning of the year of $30 a ton. So that's what we have to look forward to, and we were aware of it early enough to adjust our budget to accommodate that tipping fee for recycling. And I did want to also share that the census count has been extended to October 31st. So we can keep plugging the census for another couple weeks, and hopefully maybe some more folks here in Taneytown will be counted. So the more residents we can count, the better off we are financially for the next 10 years. So hopefully, if anybody's watching and you haven't taken the census, please do so. And the last thing I have is we are scheduled for a final building inspection for tomorrow for city office. So hopefully that will go well, and we'll be able to start bringing the last couple folks back over and be open for business again in the next several days. I will let everybody know via email how that works out tomorrow. And that's about it.
All right. Thank you very much. The census, we've had a decent reporting from people in the city. I think we've done better than we did the last census at this point, but we still need everyone counted. There's a substantial amount of money that can come in for services and such that the city really will depend on. So if you don't do it now, you're gonna have to wait 10 more years to do it. That's a long time. Who knows what's gonna happen between now and then. So please make sure you do your census, talk to everyone you know, put it on Facebook, social media, everywhere. We need the census done. The other thing is, I do want to mention, I know some of the crew came in to work on the building on Monday, which was Columbus Day. I think we can still say that. While city office is normally closed, Dan Dennis did come in to accommodate those people working on it. So I do want to thank him for coming in on what should have been a day off and navigating that for us. Our staff does a tremendous job of, kicking in where they need to make sure things get done. So I do want to mention, great job that he did on that. Any questions for the city manager on his report or any of the departmental reports?
The mayor or Jim, either one, do we have census takers on the ground in Taneytown?
I have seen at least 3 different people who are census takers. I've heard that they have been around. I don't know if they hit all of the houses or how their plan is going, but I have seen some around the city. Mr. Weeper, do you have any more information on that?
No, I don't know what the level of completeness is. They are on the ground. They are here in town, but I don't know how, proportionately how much of town they've covered.
Surprisingly or not surprisingly, there are still people that refuse to take part in the census, but they're doing their best, and anything we do to support them, I think we should absolutely do. Any other questions while we're on it? All right. Well, speaking of October 31st, I do want to mention trick-or-treating is still in the works. We're going to put out a list here this week on social media with recommendations of what people should do, social distancing, of course, masks, things like that. But as of right now, I see no reason to cancel trick-or-treating. I think the kids need this time. They've had a hard enough time this year. I think it's low risk, and people, if you're not comfortable with it, then just don't go. I think people are comfortable and can do it safely. I very much encourage them to do so. So a little update on that as well. With no other questions on city manager departmental reports, I'll ask Mr. Gallo, do you have anything else for your legal reports, sir?
No, Mayor and Council, everything I told you last week is still the same, and there's no further information.
Very good. Any questions from Mr. Gallo on the legal report? All are satisfied? Excellent. We shall move on. Bring up some old business. The 2020 annual leave payout. This was brought to us from the police department. Due to COVID-19, they were unable to use a lot of the PTO that they had earned over the year. And the chief has done a tremendous job of getting them to use PTO throughout the rest of this year. But there is a request that we pay out unused annual leave for the police department this year. With that, I will begin by entertaining a motion. If you can please state what your motion is, whether you're approving or not approving.
I make a motion to approve the 2020 annual leave payout for the police department.
Very good. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Vigliotti and a second from Councilmember Fuller. Any discussion? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Foster.
For the record, I just have several comments to make about this whole business with the police department, with the leave and the carryover of 95 hours and the payout of annual leave, of personal time off, whatever it's called. As the mayor stated last week, I'm not happy with coming to the end of the year and having to fund unexpected things like this. I feel like if I didn't bring up getting the figure lower, we would have just rubber stamped the original amount. And I don't think that's right. The fact that the amount was able to be reduced just leads me to think it didn't have to happen in the first place had proper scheduling been done. Over the past 2 years, the police department has come to council on a number of issues, all having to do with funding. First we had to give them raises or they would leave. Police left anyway. Then there was a request, which we did not approve, for an additional officer. Then there was the carryover of 95 hours of leave. Now it's the payout of annual leave. The police department is not the only staff that we fund. We have Public Works, who do a tremendous job, who never seems to come to us for any such things. We have a city staff. We're never addressing any of this. It seems like it's always the police department. At this point, I will reluctantly approve this because I don't want to begrudge any of the officers what is due to them. But going forward, I expect with this 95 hours of carryover that we do not come to next year. They do not come next year asking for a payout of any leave. It should be properly scheduled. It can be properly scheduled. And I just don't expect to see this for the next budget.
Very well said, Mayor Pro Tem. I appreciate the words and the wisdom that you've given us. She makes some very good points there. We have been approached by the police department on several occasions. No one can deny that. And we've also spoken about, looking into the other departments of the city. And that's something that we have not yet done, something we absolutely need to do. We're getting into that time where budget's on the horizon, so we need to get that working. So I'll work with Mr. Weeprick. We'll figure out how we're going to get that study done to make sure that everything is appropriate for everyone in the city, and we can move forward in that way. Any other comments from the council? Do you have similar concerns, different concerns? I'd like to hear anything that you have to say. Councilman Bigliotti?
Mr. Mayor, I agree with some of what Mayor Pro Tem Foster had mentioned, but I also want to say that there were a number of other issues that were at play. As she and you had mentioned, coronavirus was a big factor in determining leave and whether or not it could be paid out. Remember, these were essential employees and they had to stay on, not least of which, because of the fact that they were essential employees, but also because we had a number of unexpected circumstances that arose through the course of the summer. For example, the protests that we had to contend with. So, this idea that the scheduling wasn't properly done, it's that circumstances dictated that we couldn't follow a proper set schedule. And the police department did their best to contend with that. We have gone through a number of circumstances with the police department itself over the last few years. And I agree, we've done our best to contend with that. We've done our best. Mayor Pro Tem had mentioned. It wasn't necessarily that they were demanding more money. It was increasing our salary levels to be competitive with other municipalities. And when that did happen, some of the officers who had considered leaving the department did actually stay with us because we were able to adjust the salaries accordingly. I certainly hope, and I agree with the Mayor Pro Tem again, that we do not end up in the circumstance next year. But I also want to, reiterate that, while I also do support other departments in making sure that they, are properly taken care of, we've had, again, a number of circumstances in the last few years that have required us to focus on the police department. And that's about it for me. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak?
I would, Mr. Mayor. I do agree. We've my first 8 years in office, we fixed the payroll, for the police and for the rest of the staff. And then time goes on, it gets dropped. I don't know if every 3 years we have an automatic thing built into our budget where we, or whatever, 2 years, whatever it is. But we keep finding ourselves in the hole, and then we, and I guess this is time. It's been done time and time again with most municipalities. But in any case, we do need to. I do think that we need to adjust what we're paying the rest of our city staff as well, person by person, and come up with some fair, safe way. And Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you being proactive with this and getting with Jim, and hopefully we get some numbers out quickly so we can start digesting that and seeing how that's going to impact our next year's budget. So, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do want to mention, I know we have a motion on the floor. We seem to be looking at this as an all or nothing sort of a thing. If our comfort is not completely there are other options. We can consider 50% payouts. We can consider, again, tabling to next month in hopes of it improving. There's nothing saying it has to be all or nothing. So I kind of want to throw that out there. If anyone wants some flexibility, that's an option. Mayor Pro Tem Foster, I see your hand up. You're muted, ma'am, if you could.
Even though the chief asked that we not put a cap on it in case things come up, I would like to put a cap on the amount at where we are now.
Okay, and I believe we're just under 12,000 last I had heard.
I guess I would like to put the cap at 12.
Very good. Would you like to offer that as an amendment to the original motion, or do you want to ask the original motion maker to amend theirs?
I will ask Councilman Vigliotti to consider amending his motion to placing a $12,000 cap on the amount of payout.
Councilman Vigliotti, are you willing to accept that amendment to your motion?
Absolutely, definitely.
Very good. I believe the second came from Councilmember Fuller. Is that correct? Does your second still stand with the amended motion? Okay, the amended motion is that we approve the annual payout for the police department with a cap of $12,000. As a reminder, we are currently sitting just under that. I think it's $11,700 some odd dollars last I had heard. Any further discussion from the council? Okay. Hearing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor, signify with your thumbs up. And any opposed? It is unanimous in favor. All right, moving into new business. I'm going to throw one more thing into new business because it's on the same level. And Mayor Pro Tem Foster is going to wring my neck for bringing this up, but I do have to do so. Mr. Wieprecht has put in a substantial amount of time. The clerk has given me the numbers of where he sits right now. As of beginning of this month, he had accrued 227.6 hours of annual leave. It is up to the council what they want to do with that. I know he has even more substantial comp time that he has banked. He and I have talked about that. I think the biggest concern is that annual leave that he has. It is up to the council if you want to take this up this evening or if you want to talk about that next month after we get some more figures in front of you. Mayor Pro Tem?
I would like to see the figures.
Very good. We'll have those in your inbox later this week, okay? And then we can have that up for discussion. I will say that Jim's been hesitant in bringing this up to us. He is a very modest individual. But I do think it's important that we do at least look at that and give some consideration to it. So expect that in your inbox and on the agenda next month. Also, new business, we have our monthly financial report. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Foster can have it.
Yeah, I was giving it to her. Don't worry. All right, that was a motion from Councilman Haynes. The second did go to Mayor Pro Tem Foster. Any discussion on the monthly financial report? All right, hearing none. All in favor signify with your thumbs up. All right, and there are none opposed. We are unanimous in favor. Next, we have the accounts payables. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Ooh, there you go.
Councilwoman Fuller can have it.
We have the motion from Councilman Hale. The second did go to Councilman Fuller. Any discussion on the accounts payables as they are presented to you this evening? Hearing none, all in favor signify with your thumbs up. And any opposed? We are unanimous in favor. Council member reports. We will begin this evening with Councilwoman Fuller. Do you have anything for us this evening?
No, not this evening.
Nothing this evening. Very good. Councilman Bigliotti.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have the police departmental report for the month of September 2020. The total number of dispatcher-generated calls for service numbered 337. The total number of citations issued numbered 54. The total number of warnings issued were 43. The total number of adult arrests were 13, and the total number of juvenile arrests was 1. In terms of news to the department, our 3 new officers will be completing their field training in the next few weeks, and then they'll head out to protect and serve the town in their own right. And we're hoping to find a way to formally be able to introduce the 3 new officers as soon as it can be arranged. Maybe in November, we could have them come on to our meeting to say hello to everybody so everybody can see them, get to know them, that kind of thing. And then finally, as one last additional note, the 2 new vehicles from last year arrived this past Friday, and they'll be headed out to the upfitter for installation of equipment this week, and then they'll be put out to service. And that is all I have this evening from the police department. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman. We'll now move on to Mayor Pro Tem Foster. Do you have anything for us? You are muted, ma'am.
Sorry about that. I did get the opportunity to attend this year's fall conference. It was informative. I found most informative the session on the limits of federal disaster relief. It is such a paperwork-intensive process to give you literally nothing, but it was nonetheless interesting. I did enjoy, and we all thanked. There were several legislators that joined the conference and held town hall meetings. Senator Ben Cardin was there, and there was another legislator from Anne Arundel County who did a terrific job of bringing us up to date on things that were in the legislature and took several questions. And all in all, it was informative.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilman Hale, do you have anything for us this evening?
I do, sir. The slab down at Pavilion 3 is complete. Mr. Mayor, I know you saw it. Thank you for the kind words. The Monocacy Lodge 203 of HE Free and Accepted Masons was glad to devote their time to the project. It felt really good. It was a very nice upgrade to that pavilion. The painting of it, we're hearing is getting to the point where it could be too cold to paint, especially with condensation in the morning by the time we go through the day. So we're trying to figure out when we're going to paint, but we will paint that pavilion, the preferred red, white, and blue color scheme to match the rest of Memorial Park. And then on parks, the Taneytown High School playground project Lorena met with a construction meeting last Wednesday, and she wanted to pass on. It was too late. Her report was already in our council packet. That the removal of the existing playground equipment will happen most likely this week, and then grading so things are safe and neat and clean. The equipment, because of COVID restrictions and what have you, setbacks. The equipment will not be available for delivery till the end of sometime in December or January, and then the equipment will be installed. There will be a few things that cannot be done to complete that project until spring, i.e. the rubber matting, that type of thing. So there's gonna be a couple months gap. We're probably gonna hear about it because there's no playground equipment there, but it's just, it's easier to remove it now before the freeze. That saves us money. And then the equipment will be installed again in December, January, and then ready, completely open in this early spring. That's all, sir.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate that. Councilman Haynes, spotlight's on you. What do you have?
One thing, in light of the conversation we had last week about trash removal, I just want to put out a gentle reminder that folks should not be adding yard waste to their regular trash. The city will pick up your yard waste. I believe it's Tuesdays. If you put it in a paper craft bag, you have to call it in the day before 3 p.m. We've had some issues with that. So just want to put it out there for what it's worth. But other than that, I don't have anything else.
All right. Great reminder. If you have yard waste, call city office on Mondays. We'll pick it up on Tuesdays. Doesn't cost you anything. Mayor Pro Tem talked about the fall conference of MML. It was a very informative conference. I think second go around with the virtual, it went a little bit smoother, I think. I know MML at their offices had some internet issues at the very beginning, but they overcame it. There were some neat things about traffic calming, issues like that I was able to learn a little bit more about. I was very excited at the end of the conference to lead the YML session, the Young Municipal Leaders. It's kind of a relatively new initiative that MML is doing in cooperation with NLC, the National League of Cities. It was a good session, kind of get everyone introduced to YML. I was appointed to that committee just a couple months ago. We've met several times, and I think especially for members of this council who are under 40, you're welcome to be a part of YML and some of the exciting things that we have coming up. So keep an eye out for that as well. Very excited to hear City Hall should be reopening here very shortly. I appreciate all of Mr. Wieperk's work on that. He has his fingers crossed. I think they've been crossed for several weeks now. Very excited to get all of the office staff back up here into more permanent arrangements for them. I know that our clerk, Ms. Kalman, has moved into her office back at City Hall again, so she doesn't have to traverse the street now to get things done. So things are moving forward. It's extremely exciting. Things looking great. If you haven't seen City Hall since all of this work has been done, please make sure you stop by, let Jim know when you're coming so he can let you in the door if you don't have your key. But it looks a lot nicer down there. There are some precautions in place that were necessary, that were overdue. I think for the safety, security of our office workers, they're absolutely necessary. So that's very exciting. We talked about trick-or-treating. Hopefully everyone can take part in that. I know our officers will be out there handing out the glow sticks like they have in the past. And I think that's about all I have right now. Oh, last thing, we are looking through resumes this week of economic development. So we'll be talking about starting some interviews probably maybe 2 weeks. We got some really good resumes. We did receive some great resumes for planning and zoning as well. So that's going to be hot on the tails of this one. I think you'll be excited to hear what comes forward. Some very good people interested in these positions. That's all I have. I think Mayor Pro Tem Foster, you have something else for us?
You mentioned the keys to City Hall.
Yes.
I thought we weren't going to have keys. I mean, our little thing that you wave. I know Kevin collected mine.
No, your key fob that you waved to come in, you'll still use that. The key to the mailbox you won't have anymore. But you still need your key card to wave at the door.
Okay. I'm talking about the key box to the mail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, mailboxes have gone away. But yes, the The other key, the card that we wait in front of the door, you will still use that to come in. There are many, many more doors now that need those keys in City Hall. So you'll be briefed on that when the time comes. Anything else for the good of the order from council, from staff, city attorney? We're all happy people this evening. Looks great. All right, we'll get out there and spread on social media, get people excited about what's going on right now. Remember, we have elections coming up. It's a very contentious time. It is important that, as leaders of the community, that we're not getting dragged down into these things. It's an extremely partisan time. We are a nonpartisan mayor and council. It's important that we stay that way. So lead the community in a nonpartisan way. Make sure people get out and vote. I don't care who they vote for. It's important that they exercise their rights and freedoms to vote. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There it is. In a second, please.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Foster, the second from Councilman Haynes. All in favor of adjourning for the evening until next month, signify with your thumbs up. Anyone opposed? Didn't think so. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.